Well, hello, hello. This is Bev Hill with Bev Hill Arts and Crafts. I've got a cute little mini album that we're going to make today. I'm a little hoarse, so I've got a piece of gum in my mouth and I have something to sip on. So hopefully that's not too horrible for you to listen to. So I'm going to just quickly find this video on the page, and that helps me keep my hands in the camera. Let me hit refresh. And here I am. Wow. When I'm quiet through the day, I don't know how hoarse I am. I really do feel fine, so it must be allergies or something. Anyway, let's get going. One of the things that I did off camera, so if you haven't done this or would like to do it, I would hit pause and get this done. So we have two pieces of our chipboard, and these are 6 wide by 9 tall. And you can leave the chipboard showing. I opted to paint just my edges white, and you don't even really have to do the inside, but when I'm kind of smoothing out that paint, when I paint the edge, it just gets a little bit on that side. So I painted both of my pieces of chipboard to 6 by 9. And the other thing you can do for chipboard is you can use a cereal box or a cracker box, but we're using chipboard that is 6 wide by 9 tall. So I've got mine painted, nothing pretty, just wanted my edges to be white. So I've set those off to the side. So the kit we're working with in this demo is going to show the basic instructions on how to make the album. But if you have a piece of cut-aparts, that sheet, we're going to set that aside. So we're going to wait to use the cut-aparts a little later. And then for this video, we're going to go ahead and cut our pieces to make our album cover. So I've got my trimmer here. We're going to cut this piece of striped paper to 9 tall. And then I'm going to cut it to 6 wide. All right, so this is what we're going to wrap around our cover when we get it done. So we'll just set that aside. That's 6 by 9. And that's in a stripe for the accent. These are scraps. This will be the actual front cover. So we're going to cut this to 9 tall also. Just like that. And we'll need one for the front and one for the back. So we'll cut it at 6 inches. We may be trimming this down a little bit, but we're going to start with 2 pieces that are 6 inches, okay? So that's my 2 pieces for the front and back. So now I have a piece that is 6 by 9 that we're going to wrap around, and it's going to wrap around these 2 pieces, okay? But we'll assemble it all together, so no worries on that. But we're just going to set those off to the side now. Okay, so I've got a scrap here. I'm going to set it off to the side. Now we're going to select our remaining papers and lay them out. And I want to show you when I pick my papers how I want to lay them. It doesn't really matter, but I like to have a little contrast when I turn the pages. So I've done mine in this order. I'm going to lay it, I guess you can see it on the camera, but my neatness is taking over, so I got to get it a little neater. Okay, so what I've done is laid out that I've got kind of a solid red. I've got my dots here, and then I picked a white background that's got some color words, and then I picked the blue, kind of a solid background. And then I had to go with red for myself, and then I went with the white background again with the presents, and then I threw the green in there for the candy canes. Now, if you wanted to get really anal about this, we could flip. Oops, I had one hiding. That's why it didn't seem right. That looks better. Now, so I've got solid, white-ish, solid, white, solid. So I just wanted to get some contrast in my papers, okay? You can do it in any order. It's not going to hurt a thing. But that's the way I'm going to lay mine out. All right, the first thing we want to do with these papers is we're going to trim away the UPC on every one of these. So let me get those off to the side. Now I've got my trimmer in the camera, and you can see the measurement, but all we're doing at this point is we're just trimming away that UPC. So there's 1, 2, 3, 3. And I'll probably get my order all messed up, and it's going to be made even differently than I said in my paper lineup. That's okay. It just gives you what's in my head, how I pick things and why I pick them the way I do. Just taking that UPC off. And this particular company doesn't really add anything to the bottom of it that you need to want to save. So we'll throw those away when I'm done. Okay. So here's our papers ready to go. Now we need a scoreboard. So I've got mine handy. I'll lay it right on. I think I'll move my trimmer. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, so you're going to want to pay attention if there is a direction. Now this one, you could flip-flop it, but we're going to see the back side too. So this is up and down. This is my right direction. So I'm going to lay it in my trimmer going portrait, not horizontal. And I'm going to get my bone folder. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to score this at 6. Okay? So I'm just going to take my bone folder all the way down, score it a 6. I'm going to turn 1/4 turn. And I actually want it at the bottom here. So I want the 3 to be at my bottom of my page. So this is my bottom. So I'm going to score 3 inches in at 9. So that's my score. So let's do it again on the next one. This one doesn't have any direction, so I'm not going to sweat it. So I'm going to score at 6. I'm going to make a 1/4 turn. And because this one doesn't matter, it's just easy to score it right at 3. Set it aside. Score this one at 6. Turn it 1/4. This one kind of does matter, so I'm going to score this one at 9. Yep, I've got all my order all messed up. Doesn't matter. Score it at 6. Make a 1/4 turn. And let me see the back side of this one. Doesn't matter. So I'm going to score it at 3. Do it again. Cute little snowman. Score it at 6. 1/4 turn. And score it at 3. Doesn't matter. These go in all directions. Score at 6. Flip-flop it. Now this one's going to matter. So I'm going to score mine at 9 here. All right, let's do it again. This is the last one for me. We'll score at 6. All these presents are going all different directions. Doesn't matter. I'm going to score at 3. All right, I think that's all the scoring we need to do. So we can get that out of the way. And now we're going to do some folding and gluing together. So we're going to fold up, make our little pocket there. And because I have a bone folder, I'm going to go ahead and give it a nice crease. And then we're going to fold it in half, just like that. So we fold up first, fold it over. This is going to be our page, our album page. Now, the other thing that we can do is it's called sealing the pocket. So all I'm going to do is on this outside edge, I'm going to take some glue. I got a little bit there, a little bit too much. Take my glue on the other side. So when I fold it up, just sealing that little pocket edge right there. Make sense? And if you want, you can take your bone folder and just make sure that that glue got a nice connection to your page. And I need to, oh, I thought I had a pen to make my notes. Okay, so let's do that again. Fold up and make our pocket. And then fold in half. So we've got another one. And I'm going to go ahead and close it together, just adhering the outside edges of these pockets. Okay. Just take your time, have some fun. Fold up. Okay, the other thing that I want to make sure you know, and sometimes I think about it at the end of my instructions, is these pockets, when we fold it up here and you're going to see upside down art, we're going to cover that up. So don't sweat it. You can decorate that and camouflage it. So don't worry about how you pick your paper and if something goes upside down. Well, it's October and I'm making a Christmas album. I do different themes all year long. All right, fold this guy in half. All right, got another one to do. Fold our snowman up. Oh, going folds down here. No wonder it wasn't folding very well. There we go. And then fold it together. That bone folder really gives it a nice finish. So if you have one of those, it's nice to do. All right, did I fold the middle? Yep, okay. Let's keep going. We should all be pros at it now. Folding up. Give it a nice crease. Fold together. And again, a nice crease. We'll seal our little pockets. I'm going kind of as close to the edge as I can. But as you can probably tell, I don't get real finicky about the details. All right. So this one, I've got a whole collection kit, so that's what we'll be using. But it doesn't take a lot of paper. And you can make as many pages as you want when you do this again, because now you have a pattern. Yep, we'll do that. My last one. Here's my 3. Did I? Oh, there it is. I couldn't find my scored line. It's not a very good scored line, maybe. There we go. Fold it in the middle. And last pockets to glue together. Okay, so we've got all 6 of these. Now we have to put them together and make a book. So let me show you the trick on that. We're going to put them together, but we're going to leave a gap of about 1/2 inch on the left side of each of them, okay? So let me show you. So look at, so this is the time if you want to pick your order. I like it. I'm gonna leave mine just the way it is. So here's my first one. Here's the next one that I'll start with. We want to glue this one to this one. So what I'm gonna do is, let's see, what do I want to use? I thought I had some score tape. Here it is. So along the left side, we're going to leave a gap of about 1/2 inch. Okay? So for this, I'm going to use my score tape. And I'm obviously not being very picky. And you'll see why as we go to build this album. So I've left about 1/2 inch right there. And now we want a nice tight seal on all of the 4 edges here. I'm going to use my favorite glue. This is called Fabrifix, and it allows me to slide it into place a little bit. So we're going to want this one to go on top. Opening in this direction, I think, is the most important thing. So I'm going to peel off my score tape. I'm going to take my glue. I haven't used this in a couple days to make sure it's still going. I'm going to get a nice bead of glue along the bottom and the right side and the top. The other thing I'm going to do is put a little bit of glue on my score tape just to help let it slide, and then I'm going to get a nice amount in that center so that I don't have a gap. Now what that's going to do is allow me to slide this into place, make sure it stays nice and lined up. I even pick it up so it doesn't seem to be too cockeyed. And then I can open it up even. And I'm just pressing down where all that glue was that I just put on there. So here's 1 page and 2 pages. Isn't that cute? All right, let's do the same thing again. So I'm going to add, I'm not going to sweat it if I don't get exactly the same as the last one. And this is mostly a guide for me to have a nice, clean edge of adhesive. Whoops, didn't tear very well. Okay, here's the trick I do when it doesn't, when I get an edge. I'm going to peel my release paper off. Maybe. There we go. And then I'm just going to roll this up. I'm not going to worry. I just folded it up on top of itself. All right. I want the glue that'll allow me to slide a little bit into place. I'm going to come down on my score tape. Hopefully it'll let me slide a little bit because that score tape is not very forgiving. Okay. We've got our 2 pages, so I'm going to lay this one right on top. Slide it into place. There we go. Nice and straight. Lay it down. Now I've got my 3rd. All right, let's do it again. I've got my next one here. Just leaving a gap, and again, I'll show you, and we need to put a couple more together, and then you'll see why this is important. I'm doing pretty good keeping my hands in the camera. And again, always put a little adhesive in the middle so you don't get a little bubble up happening. All right, I'm going to open up to my last page here. So I can slide that right on, straight top and the side. And again, I never get everything cut and scored exactly the same. There's a little movement in my hand. Close enough, right? Close enough. All right, we'll open up to that page. Just press down that glue real good. And while that's drying, we'll get the next one ready. I'm gonna take a little sip of water. Give me just a second here. It really is water. Hy-Vee bubble water. I was at a silent retreat last February, and you go into the main area where there's going to be a speaker, and I had walked from my cabin to this area, and it's a little bit of a walk, probably 10 minutes, and I had poured some of my bubble water into like a travel mug, and I couldn't believe it's in the middle of a silent retreat, and I popped the top on that travel mug, and it made a huge psst sound. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm in this chapel. People are thinking I'm opening a beer. And the lady next to me laughed, and my face must have been horrified. All right, so I've just done the same thing. I'm getting ready to glue it on. If I start at the top and make sure it's straight and nothing in the corner, then the rest should go pretty straight too. It's all looking pretty. I mean, I have tried to make a perfect project. I've even tried to make a perfect video. Never happens. So it's just about having fun, making something pretty with paper. This glue that I use, which I love because it will slide, and the other thing it'll do is if it oozes out, it'll rub away. If you catch it while it's damp, if it's gotten perfectly dry, it's not really going to rub away. But it'll just roll up into a little bead, which for a crafter like me, it's nice that it's very forgiving that way. All right. Again, I'm going to kind of line it up at that top corner to the right. Oh, but the other thing it'll do, it's got acetone in it, so it will take off nail polish. Is that my last one? Yep, okay. Guess it's glued to this one. One last one to do. So the first one I have the present showing. On the last one I'm going to have the dots showing, which for my sense of balance, that's kind of nice too. I didn't really plan on it, but it's kind of nice. I kind of like it. All right, last one. Okay, last one. The book's getting kind of bulky, so now I'm going to do that same top corner. If I start there, I have a good chance that it's going to lay down fairly straight. I do like this glue because it allows it to slide a little bit. And when in doubt, pick it up. This one seems a little shorter than all the rest. All right, I like that. So here's my book. And the reason we want that gap is that if we'd had it all glued, it would be like this. But with that gap, it allows it to expand a little bit. Right? Oh, it can expand. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we're going to tuck a little bit of foam tape into these tops so it'll match. And the reason the bulk is here is because we've folded up these pockets. So we have quadruple the depth in our fold in our paper. So I've got some foam tape here, and I don't want to do a lot. So I'm going to use some scissors. So I don't know what you have at home. This should be enough. It's definitely less than a half. And at this very top, I'm just going to tuck in some foam tape, which will help it stand out like the bottom does. So I did my first page, and now I'm just doing the same thing the next page. And I'll see if I can pick it up and do it too in the camera, but I'm just kind of tucking it in there and then pressing down. Can you see my 2 pieces of foam right there? So I'm just finding that gap where we didn't put any adhesive. So let me see if I can stand it up and do it here on camera too. I'm gonna need to cut some more pieces. This is gonna be covered up, so don't worry about that. So here's my opening. Can you see my on camera? I'm looking, yep. All right, so then I'm just gonna tuck it down in there and then press. I'm not even peeling away the other side because it doesn't have to be. So this is 1/2 inch foam tape, 1/2 inch wide. And so I'm just cutting it about in half. So if you've got 1/4 inch foam tape, that would be great to use. Okay, I need to do it one more time. Okay, so I need to go right here next. Doesn't have to be perfect, which is a good thing. And I just added this to my pattern just to give it a little bit more balance. Okay, so now the bottom and the top have about the same width, right? Okay, so that's our album base. Now we need to find our chipboard, which I set mine aside. Here it is. And we're gonna glue this right onto the top. So I'm gonna go ahead and flatten mine out so I can lay mine to the front. I'm gonna use that glue that lets me slide it on. And anytime I'm gonna press down, I'm putting my glue in from the edge just a little bit. And I want it to hold on tight, so I'm gonna glue the whole surface. I think that's good. I don't have a lot of glue coming out. This glue is getting low. All right, so again, if I eyeball my top corner, lay it down, it should be pretty straight. I'm just kind of sliding it into place until I like it. All right, I'm gonna do the same thing now on my back. So I'm just gonna open to the back. Put a good amount of glue. Smearing that out a little bit, kind of got a blob there. And get it all covered. I think a glue or score tape is gonna work better, at least some combination of that if you're gonna use a tape runner. You just want some strength to make sure this all gets connected well. I'm just lifting it up to make sure. Okay, so that's my back. This is my front. Okay, so now we've got the really good beginnings of a book. So let's find our ribbon now. And if you haven't done this, go ahead and split it in half. So I'm just gonna get my 2 open ends. I've got my loop here, so that's my half. Just kind of fold it in half. I'm gonna give it a good cut. So now this is my opening. So I'm going to tack down my tape, my ribbon with some tape. So where did my score tape go? Here it is. Whoops, I just dropped my bone folder. All right, so what I'm gonna do, I'm just eyeballing. If you're real precise, you can measure and find your 4.5 mark, but that looks close enough to the middle for me. So now I'm going to flip it over, take my other piece, and if I line this one up to this one, they should meet pretty good when I go to tie it. So I'm going to go ahead and tape this one down as well. All right, so that's my back. Now we've got a ribbon closure. All right, so here's where I have some decisions to make because I don't have all the pieces of this old pattern, and it doesn't have to be exact every time. But I think what I'm going to start with is my cover here, and that's what we're going to do there, okay? We're going to glue it down. So I'm going to score this in the middle at 3, okay? So let me get my little scoreboard out again. And I probably make this a little different every time, but these are the basics of the pattern, and then you can tweak it from there. So if I give it a score at 3, that's going to be my middle. So let's figure this. So then let's score it at 3.5, just to get fancy. And I think that's where I'm going to fold it along my edge. So there's my middle. And then we're just gonna, so you see where my scored line is? Here's my middle. So that's where I would glue it. And then I'm just trying to find if I can just do another half based on the girth, right? How wide this is. Right about there. Yep, I'm just going to score it again at a half. So let's lay it in there. So we had 3 and we did 3.5. So let's do 2.5. Which I think that'll give it a good fold when we glue it to the back side. So here's our little spine cover. I think that'll be nice. You'll see in a little bit on a peak, but that'll be okay too. You see that on books. So what I'm going to do now is put some glue along my edge of my chipboard, just so I know it's going to grab there, the top. And then I'm going to go where that score is that we just did, that 3.5, just inside that scored line. And then I'm going to glue in the middle too. So again, we don't want bubbles. So I'm going to lay it over my edge. And I'm just going to hold this for a minute. If you had paper clips, you could certainly paper clip it until that glue kind of grabbed. Wiping off the extra. Got a little oozing out there, so I'll show you. With this glue, you just rub back and forth and it just rubs away into a little ball. Isn't that something? It's gone. We're not going to glue it down to all these pages, but we are going to glue down the back side. All right. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. Take my glue along the chipboard edge. I just want it to make a good contact, just inside maybe 1.5 inches along that edge, and just inside the score. If you added more pages, your 1/2 inch each side would probably not be good. You'd have to just kind of eyeball it and then give yourself a score and glue it on. Hope I didn't close my room door so you can possibly hear the phone ringing. I don't know. Okay, so we've got our little cover spine. Now I want some of this pretty stripe to show. So let's see. What do we think that is? I'd like 1 inch of it to show. So I'm going to take those 2 pieces that we had cut and I'm going to cut 1 inch away so that when I glue it to my edge, you can see that cute little stripe. All right, so let's do that. I'm gonna get my trimmer out. And we had cut these pieces are 6 by 9, so I'm gonna make them 5 by 9. All right, I don't need my trimmer anymore, and I'm not gonna ink these edges. Save those for something, right? All right. So again, definitely want my glue. And the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna peel up this score tape so that can do a little work on holding everything together too. All right, here comes my glue. And then there are so many different ways that you can decorate the fronts of these and the insides. But this first video is going to be just the basic assembly of this pattern. And it just slid right into place there. And that glue will help hold that ribbon in place. And I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to do the back side. And you see why I painted those edges? Just gives it a little bit of a brighter look than the craft color of the chipboard. All right, let's flip it over and do the same thing. I do want it to have a good seal, but I don't want to go to the exact edge so that all that glue is not going to ooze out over the edge of that paper. All right, I'm just going to lift it up and kind of eyeball it. Okay, so that's our back. So here's what our album looks like now. We've got our front cover. We've got our ribbon closure. Here's all of our cute little inserts. And see how it's got room now? Let me show you on the bottom. And you'll do it with yours. See how it has room to expand because we left that open, that little 1/2 inch. Isn't that nice? And then you're going to tie it closed. And then the rest is just decorating. So when you have upside down prints like this, you'll want to cut something out and cover it with your cut aparts or your border strips or whatever you have, just even a mat of another color. And if you don't have anything, I could cut white and put a little mat there. So all kinds of different creative things you can do. So you don't have to sweat those upside down. And then it just ties closed. So that's the basic assembly. If you've got this kit and you're joining me, then we'll finish it up with our decorations on video number 2. I will see you soon. Thanks for joining me. I hope you have fun making lots and lots of albums with these patterns. All right, bye now.